Listening to Joey DeFrancesco on KJZZ, and that's the theme to The Godfather, Speak Softly, Love, from his album Goodfellas. And Joey's here with me in the studio. Welcome to KJazz, Joey.
Oh, thanks, Blaise. Good to be here.
And Joey's in town because, well, he lives here when he's not on the road, but he has a concert coming up Sunday, February 27th. He's going to be performing at the Nash. He has two shows, one at 7 and one at 9:15, and you can get tickets at thenash.org. The Nash is at 110 East Roosevelt Street in Phoenix. KJazz is supported by you, our listeners, and by Arizona retinal specialists. Dr. Mandy Conway and Dr. Golem Payman work to provide individualized patient care and understand diseases in the body. More at ArizonaRetinalSpecialists.com. Well, Joey, I'm glad you could come by, and I wanted to ask you about this album that you did, Goodfellas, and about playing with your dad.
Okay.
Because you started out pretty young.
Yeah, I was 4 when I actually started playing the organ. I had a toy piano, but the first real instrument I played was a Hammond organ. My dad was gigging, so it wasn't at the house. And then he had a hiatus from a couple weeks off between gigs, and the organ came home, and that's when I saw it and realized this is what I was hearing on all these records and things, and fell in love with it. It became my favorite toy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting that you would go for the organ, and the piano was in the house, though.
No, we didn't have
you
a piano. I just had a little toy, ding, ding, ding kind of piano, which I messed with. I had a little fun with that because I loved Fats Domino. I was a big Fats Domino fan, so I tried to sound like him on there.
So were you singing too?
Oh, yeah, Blueberry Hill, of course. Of course.
I'm talking to Joey DeFrancesco. He does have a new album out. We are going to be listening to that. But tell me about this album, Goodfellas, that you put together.
That's an interesting story, actually. That record was not originally supposed to be my record. It was Frank Vignola's record.
I remember Frank. He used to teach here.
That's right, and he's playing guitar on there, and Joe Ascione is on drums. And I got a call from John Burke from Concord Records. Said, we're going to do this record. Would you like to do it? And I said, sure. And we did the record, and and then it turned into, well, how about we do it like a group effort? And then it turned into, how about if it's your record? Joey DeFrancesco's Goodfellas. And at the time, those movies and all of that stuff was very big. And, of course, I was a big fan of those movies because, I grew up around a lot of those type of places and things happening. So it was a lot of fun making those records. I felt like I was at somebody's wedding.
Right. But Joey grew up outside of Philly, right? You grew up outside of Philly?
I did, very close to Philly.
And so you're from an Italian family, so there's a lot of culture in there. But it really is a fun CD. And I remember when Frank Vignola was here, it was really, he was a great player. He's still playing, of course, still doing work.
Yeah.
But then, now the next thing I want to ask you about is Bobby Hutcherson.
Yes.
And you decided to do this album, Organic Vibes. Did you put this together?
I did, and I was a big fan of Bobby's. Obviously, for many years, he was a big influence on my keyboard playing. And
now, how was he an influence?
Just the way he played, his harmony and his feel and, his lines.
It's so different, though, when I think about a vibe player compared to, there's so much sound with the organ. You have your bass pedals, you have your two layers,
right.
But still something about what he did.
Well, when you think about it, though, the organ's got a very percussive attack. That's, so there's certain things that remind me of the vibes and the tremolo, So for me, I heard a similarity. And just the way he played, I mean, I played the organ, but I was influenced by the way saxophone players and trumpet players and all the different ideas that they had too. So, but Bobby was a big inspiration, and I was lucky to somebody put something together for us to play together one time in Pittsburgh, and we just hit it off musically, and also we became great friends. And then there came time, I was going to do another record, and I said, man, I want to do a record with Bobby. So I contacted him. We made it work, and we did it here. We recorded it at Clark Rigsby's.
Right here in Phoenix. See, It's happening right now.
Yeah.
And Joey DeFrancesco is here in town for a concert, February 27th. That's Sunday at the Nash. Well, Joey, I'm glad you could join us here tonight. And, you had such an interesting start. How did you become discovered?
Well, in Philadelphia. I was fortunate to have my dad, because he's playing, right? So he would take me as soon as I was able to carry a couple of tunes. I would go sit in with him, very young age, and from that, meeting other musicians and him taking me to my mom and dad taking me to a lot of different clubs to hear music. All the cats were playing in town, so this is in the '70s, mid '70s. So everything was happening. There's still a lot of clubs in Philly, and everybody was playing. And so it was always a pleasure to go out and hear these people. And then a lot of times a club owner would know about me, so they would let me sit in or talk to the, whoever was playing. And that's how I got to be known around Philly. And it just grew from there. And then I think the biggest thing that happened was when I was in the first Thelonious Monk piano competition. And that was, I was 15,
Wow.
almost 16. And there was one of those things where like a million people send a tape in, and then there's like semifinalists, and then there's 5 finalists. Well, I was one of the 5 finalists.
Wow.
They were all much older than me. Marcus Roberts won that year, who had Monk down.
Yeah.
And but what was cool about that was Dr. George Butler was there, who was the VP of Columbia Records. He's who signed Wynton. Like, he's the one that brought Miles out of retirement, So he was nice to me and everything, but I was playing piano at that. He had no idea. Nobody really knew that I was an organ player at heart, So when I sent him a demo, I sent him that. And, when we called the office, did you get the demo? And they're like, yeah, we got it. Whatever. You'll hear from us sometime next year or whatever. It was right before Christmas, 1987. And he actually called Christmas Eve and said, well, we want to sign you to a record deal.
So was he surprised when he heard that? When he heard
Yeah,
you
that blew
playing
him
the
away.
organ? He's
That
like,
was what did it,
Yeah.
because nobody was really people were playing, but there wasn't the cats like Jimmy Smith, Jimmy McGriff, Jack McDuff. They weren't being very prolific. Record companies weren't really allowing a proper vehicle for them to record, so people could still hear that sound. And there wasn't a new face for a long time that was doing that. So it was like he was really excited about it,
Cool. So what was your first record that you recorded?
It was called All of Me, and it came out in 1989. Same
Wow.
year I graduated from high school. Those were magic years. And
Yeah.
I also played with Miles in '88. I had the record deal actually before I played with Miles.
So how did he find you? Did he hear you on your record, or how did he hear about you?
No, my record wasn't out yet. I met Miles. We did a TV show in Philadelphia. There was a morning show. It was called Time Out. Bill Boggs was the host. This is actually on YouTube, this whole thing I'm going to tell you, of me meeting Miles. And so they decided for some reason, because they were going to have Miles Davis on this show to get interviewed, they were going to bring in some music for the show. And the band was myself, Christian McBride,
Oh my God.
because we were the all Philadelphia high school trio, So, and the drummer's name was Stacy Dozier. She played drums. And so we were playing in between commercial breaks. And then they brought on 4 trumpet players to play for Miles on live television to have him critique them, which
Oh
I
my.
thought, I can't believe they're doing this. That didn't go too well.
I bet not.
And so, but the last guy that played was John Swana, who's actually an excellent trumpet player from Philly. And he asked Miles a question. He's the only one that thought to give me one chorus on a blues. One chorus, and I got the gig with Miles Davis. He said, what's your organ player's name? In the middle of this live TV show. And of course, I'm thinking, everybody I know is watching. I hope he says something nice. Anyway, not too long after that, he called me to do the gig.
Wow. And so did you go on the road with him right away, or did you do a studio recording right away? What'd you do?
I went on the road with him. That happened in the fall of 1987, and in summer of '88, he called. That's a pretty long period of time away. He called right away and asked for a tape. So I sent him a tape, didn't hear anything. And then in the summer, like in August of '88, he called the house. And my grandmother answered the phone, and I came home. She said, somebody called named Miles Davis. I didn't believe it. I thought it was McBride. We went to high school together. We were like
Right.
best friends, playing jokes on each other like that all the time. I called a number, and sure, and I hung up on him a couple times when I heard his voice.
Oh, wow.
I was so I was 17 years old.
Right.
So
Right.
Miles Davis. So yeah, and he hired me. So you want to go to Europe with me? You working with anybody? I said, no, I'm fine.
You working with anybody?
Yeah.
High school. Well, I'm talking with Joey DeFrancesco, and coming up next, we're going to hear from the brand new CD. It's called More Music, and I'm just going to play the tune first, and then we'll talk about this and all the crazy things that Joey D is doing on this brand new release of his. It's a very exciting recording. Here's Joey DeFrancesco with Soul Dancing on KJZZ. Joey DeFrancesco with his very unique sound on that Hammond B3. Lucas Brown is playing guitar with him on that cut, and he has Michael O'Day playing drums. Now, the show on the 27th, he has Lucas Brown on guitar, and Anwar Marshall is playing drums, and that's happening at the Nash, February 27th on Sunday. There are 2 shows, one at 7, one at 9:15, and you can get tickets at thenash.org. Now, I said something about this record is going to be cool, and when I got it, I was like, there must be a mistake. There must be a misprint. Something's wrong. Now, Joey plays organ, and he mentioned he entered a competition playing piano, so he's played piano. He played trumpet because Miles gave you a trumpet, and you were inspired by that. How'd you get on the trumpet?
Well, he gave me some mouthpieces and a mute. I never did get a trumpet, but just watching him play every night made me want to play. It just, it was something different. The records are great, and I love listening, but hearing that sound right at you, just wanted to play. So I got off that tour and decided to start playing some trumpet. My dad played trumpet. He started on trumpet before he played organ.
That.
Yeah.
No.
So we had a trumpet in the house, so I started messing with the trumpet. And then Miles, I told him when I seen him the next time, and he said, "Oh yeah," and he handed me his trumpet. Play. So I played something for him, and he was very encouraging, and that's how. So I figured after that I would continue to play.
And so have you recorded? You put trumpet on a couple other CDs that you played, right?
I have. I've been playing for a long time now. I was thinking about that the other day. Time goes so fast, but I've been playing trumpet for over 30 years. So, but yeah, I started recording on it from my third record. Which I think I have 36 or 37 records now. I don't know, something like that.
And so, yeah, quite a few. And so now somebody was saying you play trumpet and play organ with one hand.
Yeah, I was doing that for many years, unless I did a duet or something with the guitar player, but I would play bass with my left hand and trumpet with my right hand. But it's not that incredible. Listen, I'm doing that anyway. My right hand plays the organ and the left hand plays bass. So instead of playing a keyboard, I got a trumpet in the right hand. But
it's not that big a deal.
but I've with this new group, I guess that leads us to that. For many years I felt I want to hold the trumpet with 2 hands,
right?
And I want to really play it like way I practice when I'm playing at home, and because you could play it better, you have more control over it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so the only way I could do this is either to get another organ player or a bass player to play when I'm not playing organ, but really another organ player would really be cool because then he could handle the bass line. And then I can play piano and other things like that. So,
what organ player wants to play with Joey DeFrancesco?
Everybody says that. I feel so bad because as you can hear on the record, Lucas plays great.
Yeah,
he really
does, and he has a different style. I love that.
He does, and I've known him for many years, and I always admired that he had his own approach. Because you can't. There's a lot of and it's a big honor and flattering. There's a lot of organ players after me now that come straight out of my style.
The Joey D style.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they're playing great, But you don't need two of those, so I need somebody with some contrast. And I also like playing with Brian Charette a lot too. He's another great organ player. But Lucas plays guitar too, see?
Right.
So that's like really awesome. So I could still have my traditional organ, guitar, and drums. And
Then you can play trumpet while he plays organ.
exactly.
And here's the added
Okay.
attraction.
I was waiting for you.
Joey is playing saxophone. Now, how can you play organ and piano and trumpet and saxophone, and why did you pick up the sax? What inspired you?
Well, that's first of all, and my grandfather, Joseph, who I'm named after, was a saxophone player, my dad's dad. And we still had all his instruments. So about 25 years ago, I started tinkering with it a little bit, only for a couple of weeks. But, being young and I was in my mid-20s, I was cocky. So I went to a jam session in Philly, and this little unassuming cat came up and totally destroyed me on the saxophone. So his name is Victor North, great player. And so I decided, put it away for now. Stick to the organ and keyboard and trumpet. But then when I did In the Key of the Universe, my record before this, I had Pharoah Saunders on it.
Yeah.
And also for about 4 years, Troy Roberts was playing in my group. Another wonderful tenor saxophone player. He's from Australia, but he's been in New York for many years now. And I was hearing all the saxophone. I always loved the saxophone. Is a big part of my development on the organ, because I approach the organ that way, So I said, I'm going to get a horn, and I thought I was going to play it and have fun with it, but I really fell in love heavily with it, and it's just another one of my instruments now, and that's really what made the decision to have. I definitely had to get somebody else to handle
the organ.
Yes.
Yeah. So you could play the sax and
Exactly.
the trumpet. Now, well, we're going to hear more music. What are you playing on this? Are you playing organ on this, or are you playing?
I'm playing organ on this, and Lucas is playing like a electric piano.
All right. Let's
Oh
listen.
no, he's playing guitar on
He's
this.
playing guitar on
Yeah.
this one. Well, this is the title cut to Joey DeFrancesco's new CD. And if you do want to hear him play, we're going to hear more. We're going to hear a beautiful song he wrote for his wife called Lady G. But if you want to hear Joey play all the instruments, you're just going to have to get that album or music. And I'm afraid to think about what could happen in the next 20 years with Joey DeFrancesco. He'll be playing the harp for all we know. And I don't mean the harmonica. So let's listen to Joey DeFrancesco. This is the title cut from his brand new CD, More Music. I'm Blaise Lantana. I'm here tonight with Joey DeFrancesco, and so glad to have you here in the studio. Thanks for taking the time to come and talk with us a little about this brand new record. Now, because you're playing saxophone and you're playing trumpet and you're playing organ and you're playing piano, was this a really different album for you to do?
Well, mostly, I guess for adding this tenor saxophone in, that was something, because it was.
You added an organ player in.
And having another organ player.
Right.
Yeah, and strategically thinking about the material. This group came together just before, I don't,
COVID.
you know what, to keep it positive, you know what I call it now? The vacation. Because that's what it was for musicians.
Right. Big vacation.
A long, extended vacation.
Right.
We started playing. Our last gig was actually in Blues Alley in Washington, D.C., March 15th.
Oh.
We played there. And I came home on the 16th, and I stayed home, But that group had me excited because I had been wanting to put this together. So I started thinking about that. I had all that time to write this music and think about it and how to put it together. And then in January of 2021, we went in the studio. Cats, I asked them, you guys want to do this? Because they had to fly out here from back east and all that.
Right,
and
dangerous.
we did.
Yeah.
But they were like, yeah. They were like,
right. We
it's
want
worth
to play.
it.
Right.
And we did. And of course, Tempest Recording, Clark had everything like, nobody's been in the studio for 3 weeks. And, we did everything like that. And we recorded it. And it was really exciting just to get in and do it.
Yeah.
So, I was very, I thought about the music a lot, so that was, it was a lot of preparation went into it. It was different in that way. I had to think about 2 organs, how we're going to do it. I mean, really, there's only one tune where we both play organ on it because, 2 organs can get,
kind of intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. But
Yeah.
when you were recording this, now you have another organ player, and you're pretty much Since we lost Jimmy Smith, you're pretty much the top guy on organ these days. And so, did you go in and tell him how to mic it, how to use it, how to anything like that?
Well, I didn't. He knew what to do. And Clark knows what to do. And then the organs that we used, actually, it's an organ that's made in Italy. It's a signature model. It's made by a company, Viscount, and it's called the Legend Joey DeFrancesco model.
Wow.
So we both use those. There's no miking. We just plug directly into the board, and it has the Leslie's are the rotary sound is all simulated. Nobody knows. Nobody could tell. It's really
Right.
amazing. These instruments are so portable that I could FedEx them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you use that on a gig? Can you use that on a gig?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it plugs in just
Yep.
with the sound, with
Yeah.
the Leslie sound. That is, well, I've seen guitar players play trumpet, right? And they play trumpet on the guitar.
Right. They have all
Everything's
kinds of.
synthesized. Now we can get all kinds of sounds. I'm talking with Joey DeFrancesco, who is just a remarkable organist. And the thing about this is that people become known for their instrument. Musicians become known. You think a Houston person, you think about a tenor saxophone.
Sure.
You think about Lee Morgan, you think about a trumpet. And Joey DeFrancesco, you think about an organ. And so for you to do this, I really think it's changing how people think about themselves, professional musicians. That they can evolve, that they can try different things.
Yeah, and a lot of cats do, musicians are playing other instruments, and you do get known for something, and
Right.
people expect that.
Right.
And I love the thing is, and then people ask me too, well, what do you love more? Do you still love the organ more than I don't love any one of them more than another one. I love them all equally. It's like children,
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Each has its different flavor to it.
exactly, and each one inspires. When you're playing one, you thinking to yourself, "Oh, this is it,"
Yeah.
and then you play another one. Oh no, this is it, and then you realize, you know what? It's just an extension of as you're a musician, you sing, you play the piano, you play the guitar, you play a
Right.
lot of instruments. They're just vehicles of expression.
Right.
At some point, once you learn one instrument, you know how you have to feel to play it. So when you add another one, now there's the technical things about sound and fingerings. That's you got to deal with that part. But you pretty much know how you want to sound.
Yeah.
You know what you want to do it. I mean, I've been playing the organ for 47 years.
Yeah.
So if I pick up something else, I apply all that to the next
musicianship,
instrument.
right? Did you study, or did you just learn
I
by
did.
playing?
I learned a lot. I mean, I learned a lot from my dad. He was a great teacher because he never pushed me. He showed me the right things to listen to. He just let me do my thing. Now, if I wasn't doing something quite right, he would pull my coat, but not in any kind of, I was never forced because I had such a love for it.
You were already pushing yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then, when I got to be 10 years old, I went to some music schools and things like that. But my ear was so good that I never really got the discipline together to become a good sight reader.
Right.
I'm like mediocre now. I can get through, but I used to fake my way through classical lessons. I'd ask the teacher, "Can you play that for me so I could
Right.
understand the phrasing?"
Right. I think a lot of people who have good ears struggle with that,
Mhm.
trying to coordinate being able to read music when you hear it so quickly, when you've heard
Exactly.
it and listened and heard it and listened.
Yeah, because that's hard and that's not fun.
But it's not as much fun. But if you want to communicate, if
Mhm.
you want to write a tune, if you want to put it out there, although today, you can just play it and
Right.
a machine will write it out for you.
Well,
So,
I do that. I mean, I did learn how to do it. I'm slow at it. I'm not like
Right,
some of these
right.
people are unbelievable.
right.
Like somebody like Christian McBride plays the bass, funky, swings, solo, does all that, and he could read anything you put in front of him.
On the other hand, it's only one note at a time.
Well, it's
I
and
know.
drummers only have to deal with rhythm.
Well, we're going to listen to a tune that you wrote for your wife. Tell us a little about this tune, Lady G.
Well, Lady G for Gloria. It's just I had already this one I wrote. We were playing this on the road in 2019, and I refined it though. When that's what one thing that's nice about, and you can't do as much. They used to do, like Horace Silver would play the tunes for like months before they would record them live
Right.
because things evolve. But you
Right.
can't. You're not allowed to do that so much anymore because it's got to be this new thing that comes out. But this
Yeah.
one I had been playing, so I developed a lot of ideas on it, and
And
it's
you're playing saxophone
I'm
on
playing
it.
tenor on this one.
Did
Yeah.
she request that? Is that her favorite that you play, or does she like to hear you play?
She likes
Doesn't
them
care.
all.
Yeah.
She's happy with whatever I'm doing, and she's my co-producer. On all my projects, and the last co-producer of everything. I mean,
Yeah.
everything has just been so great.
Yeah.
Because of her.
It's
So
great to find a partner
oh yeah,
that you can work with and that helps you, because this is a
absolutely.
hard job.
It really is. It makes I just have to worry about making music, and that's
Yeah.
hard enough.
Right. That's a lot. And then you have somebody to help you with booking and all the things. So
Yes,
thanks to Gloria for all
big
she
time.
does for Joey. And here's a tune Joey DeFrancesco wrote for his wife. It's called Lady G on KJZZ. That is Joey DeFrancesco, surprisingly playing the saxophone beautifully, too. Joey DeFrancesco is a world-class organist. Now he's playing trumpet, saxophone, and piano, which, if you don't know, they might look similar, piano and organ, but it is a very different game to play the two of them. And on this next tune, we're going to hear Joey's playing piano. So you mentioned that you entered the Thelonious Monk competition on piano, even though organ was your main axe.
Yes.
And you continued playing piano all this time, or is it kind of been in and out?
I continued. I always played at home, and it's good for piano's got a heavier action than the organ, so it's good for strength. But at the same time, the organ's lighter, so you could fumble much easier. So they are completely different instruments. There's a lot more you have to know about, settings and different things on
Well,
the
the
organ.
other thing about the organ is your volume is on your foot.
Yeah, the right foot.
And your volume on the piano is in your hands. So
Exactly.
it's totally a different feel for
Right.
that. So what do you study on piano? What do you play when you play the piano around the house?
I just play
your
whatever
own
comes
stuff?
to mind. I play tunes, standards. That's how I practice everything. I just play songs. Like I don't play long tones on the saxophone or the trumpet or any of that. To me, I'll play a ballad very slowly. You're going to wind up playing long tones without being bored.
Right. Right.
So
Are you teaching organ?
I have online.
Some students?
I do. Well, actually, it's all material. I add new content every month, so it's on demand online thing. It's called Joey D 101, and I have a lot of people that are subscribed.
I bet.
And I add something new every month, and I've been doing it for 5 years. You know how much content is up there? I'm like, I don't know if I got to keep doing this. So much there, but I also love to teach. That's something I would get into more on a university level, teaching at at a college, and do more of that. I'm looking into some of those things, but I'm busy playing, and I haven't been able to do that as much as I want to. But I'm starting to enjoy that a lot more. I did a lot of that over
break.
2020, yeah,
The
over the vacation
vacation.
online. Like.
Uh-huh.
Workshops and clinics and things like that. And I
Yeah.
love it. I love answering questions. I
Yeah.
love sharing it. There's nothing, and I give it all up. There's no secrets. You still
Right.
got to work on it and do it.
Right.
So,
You can give the information, but people still have to sit down and put their hands on it. Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm talking with Joey DeFrancesco. He has a concert at the Nash that's in downtown Phoenix at 110 East Roosevelt Street. And you can get tickets at thenash.org for his show. That's 7 p.m. and at 9:15, February 27th, that's Sunday. And he will be with Lucas Brown on guitar and organ, and that's who's on the record. And then he also has Anwar Marshall playing drums with him. So it should be quite the trio. And Joey will be playing. Are you going to be playing a lot from the new album?
Yes, we'll be playing all that material. I have the whole arsenal there.
All right. Well, thank you for coming by and talking with us about jazz and about music. One thing I wanted to ask you about the organ. Now, you play because people don't realize, we see you play the organ. It's hard to tell what's going on up there.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah,
complicated instrument. You have
yeah,
all those little things you pull out. You're
yeah.
like,
Those are
what's,
drawbars.
yeah,
Because on a big church organ, that's just there were knobs, draw knobs, so it's drawbars. Yeah, and the thing that's very interesting about the organ, it's still a question I get asked a lot because I play the bass on the organ too.
right.
It's not just foot; it's mostly left hand with foot accents.
Oh,
Sometimes it's just foot if my left hand's busy doing something else, and you can do that, but it's a different kind of sound. The left hand swings much more
huh,
tone-wise than the foot. So there's that going on. Then you have your right foot taking care of expression or volume, however.
right.
And you got to use certain sounds for solos, certain sounds for comping. There is a lot of stuff going
Yeah,
on. And
so
the
you're
coordination,
right. And so you're pulling different bars to get different sounds. Is that how you get the different
Yeah,
tones?
there's the solo sound that you use, and then there's full organ, which is that big shout
Right,
sound.
right.
But I don't do a whole lot of that, because you shouldn't have to do a whole lot. Use the sounds, too much switching around. It's like a piano has one sound, a saxophone has one sound, but you make a lot of sounds within that one sound.
Right.
So, find a nice sound. Jimmy Smith was the master. He was our teacher, all of us. He established the settings. We still use the
His
settings.
settings?
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
everybody does. I mean,
Wow.
that was because you can mess around and you try other stuff and you go right back to that setting because that's the sound.
Huh.
You play it your way,
Right.
but tonally, it's just like everybody that sits down and plays a piano, they play differently, but the piano's still,
Sounds the same. Yeah,
yeah.
it still sounds like a piano. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for talking a little about the organ and about the music. And you can hear Joey play saxophone, trumpet, piano, and organ on his brand new CD, More Music. And we're going to hear him at the piano on this tune, In Times of Reflection. So tell me about this tune you wrote. And is this your tune, right?
Yes, yes. Well, it was just, we had a lot of time to reflect. So this is the melody that came out of it. And I was thinking about, Lucas is playing guitar on this, and he's also playing the bass sound that you hear on here, which sounds like everybody thinks it's an acoustic bass. It's.
Is he playing pedals, foot pedals, or
Yes,
Wow.
yes, and guitar.
and guitar?
Yes, and it was my idea of I was thinking a lot of Bill Evans when I wrote this tune.
Well, let's listen to In Times of Reflection. This is from Joey DeFrancesco's new album, More Music. This is member-supported KJZZ, FM Phoenix, HD, and HD2. Thanks for coming by, Joey.
Thanks for having me, Blaise.